What is up, everybody? We're back here at King Film Sports for the NFL Week 1 betting locks and game predictions here, just after the 53-man rosters have been announced for all of these teams. Reminder that I released the NFL season-long preview with some futures betting picks and record predictions for all of the 32 NFL teams yesterday. So check that one out after this one. A lot of the same logic will be used for a lot of these picks. And we've gotten great support from our Week 1 college football betting locks and game picks, so be sure to check that one out if you're into college football. But here we get into a loaded 16-game slate that will kick off in just over a week. Starting it out here with the Cowboys and the Eagles, and we're only going with a half-unit lock here, but we're taking the Eagles. I do not think that this Cowboys experiment is going to work this season with Brian Schottenheimer in his first season at head coach. I do not think that he will lead the offense to success. I think that they'll be able to pass the ball a little bit against this Eagles secondary, potentially with George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, but I do not think that they'll be able to run the ball with Jaden Blue and a subpar offensive line against this ferocious Eagles front seven. I do think that this one could be a bit of a dogfight, and I'm nervous about the A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith injuries. If they're both out in this game, I could see this spread plunging to like 4.5, and that was really a problem last year when they were both out in a game at Tampa Bay and they just got run out of the building there. So hopefully at least one or both of them are healthy enough to go in this game, but I really just think that the Eagles will be able to pound the rock with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley on the ground. I think that they have a better roster and talent in the trenches, and that will be able to supplant this Cowboys team. Skeptical about the injuries for now, but I like the Eagles at this number, -6.5 for a half unit. Then we get to the Sao Paulo game. Chiefs facing the Chargers here, and obviously the big news of the last couple of weeks of this Chargers team was Rashawn Slater. That great left tackle is out for the season. We also had the 4th of July news with Najee Harris blowing up his eye. He seems to be out for this one. I do not have that as a substantive downgrade because I think Omarion Hampton, that rookie running back out of North Carolina, will be pretty good, but it is his first start here. And you do bring back Keenan Allen. You've also got Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston dealing with somewhat of an injury here. So I am concerned about the offensive line here, and another year of Justin Herbert in this Greg Roman offense. We'll see what they're able to do. I really think that this Chiefs offense, a lot of people are projecting them to upgrade from last season after it was a tough year, even though they had 15 wins and went to the Super Bowl. And I think that they will struggle a bit, especially in the ground game against this revamped Chargers defense, who was pretty good last year as well. The Chargers, they don't really beat this Chiefs team very much, but these games are always close. Remember last year, the Chargers lost, I think, by one possession in the game in LA early in the season, and then on Sunday Night Football late, they only lost by 1 or 2 points. So I do not have big confidence in them to win this game, but I just think that this spread is so inflated here. I like the Chargers +3.5. Maybe Mahomes leads them down late, but Herbert's usually good enough to keep the Chargers in these games and then potentially lose close there. So I love the value with the Chargers and the spread there. Then we get to the Sunday locks, and we have the Bucs and the Falcons here. I just can't really believe this line. You guys know from my season-long predictions video, I love the value on the Falcons to win this division. I think that these teams are about equal. And then you're pricing in some of these injuries. Tristan Wirfs looks to be out for the first month of the season here. And I know that this Falcons pass rush and front seven were really bad last year, but I think that they will improve a little bit. You're getting them at home here, and also some injuries with the wide receivers for the Bucs. Will Godwin be ready to go? Also, Jalen McMillan dealing with a bit of an injury there. You do have the young players, Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson, but this is going to be their first games in the NFL. So I'm pretty nervous about this Tampa Bay Bucs offense without Liam Cohen here. How is Baker going to look? I mean, they're definitely going to put up some points, but I do love the upside of Penix in year 2. Not sure it's all going to click here, but I just love the value. I think this one should be at least a pick'em or Falcons favorite, given that they're at home. Fast track here. I think we see a lot of points, maybe a little sloppy, but I do like Atlanta to win that game, so give us the half unit lock on them there. Then next we get to the Battle of Ohio, Bengals and the Browns here. Everyone knows the storylines. Joe Burrow and the Bengals always struggle in the first couple weeks of the season, and that really hamstrings them coming down the stretch when they're battling for playoff positioning. We all know that by now, and obviously Burrow in this offense got a few reps. He looks to be healthy coming into this year. Same concerns, though, that offensive line against this Browns defensive line. That could be a struggle, and we'll see what the Browns and Joe Flacco are able to do against this horrible Bengals defense. So just a lot of unknowns in this matchup. Spread is 6. I don't really want to support Cleveland, and I do not think that you can support the Bengals on the spread in a bit of a trap spot. Tough game in Cleveland against their rival, so I'll sit that one out from the spread perspective against the Bengals to win. Similar one next, Colts and the Dolphins. No spread play here. Absolutely no confidence. I think this one is a coin flip. I'll give the Colts the advantage because they are at home. We'll see what Daniel Jones in this offense looks like. I do not think it's going to be particularly impressive, but the Dolphins defense isn't great either, so maybe Jonathan Taylor can go off in the ground game there. Tua looks to be healthy, another year in this Mike McDaniel system, so maybe they will be able to put up some points. Maybe we see some fireworks here first week in Indianapolis, fast track there, but I do think that the Colts narrowly win that one there. Then we get to the Jags and the Panthers. Give us the Jaguars -2.5. In that season preview video, I outlined why I am pretty high on this Jags team, given that they have Liam Cohen at the head coaching position. Maybe year 5 with Trevor Lawrence could look a bit different here. You've got Brian Thomas, another year of him, and then Travis Hunter. We'll get to see what he looks like. And really, I'm not buying that second half from the Panthers. I do not think that Bryce Young will be an above-average quarterback here. And that defense was really bad for most of last season, so I think that they will struggle here. I think that the Jags win big at home there. Then we get to the Raiders at the Patriots. Spread is about 3 for this game. I do think that the Patriots are the slightly better team, so I will take them to win this one, but 2 new head coaches for both these teams, Mike Vrabel and Pete Carroll. I think if the spread ticks up a bit, you might be looking at a value spot on the Raiders, even though I'm skeptical on their offense and how Genty is really going to be involved given that porous offensive line. And really, Raiders have a lot of holes on that defense. So I have a lot of questions about the Raiders. Patriots look to be a little improved from last year, but I'm going to have to believe it to see it there. So probably just going to sit this one out from a betting perspective, take the Patriots to win there at home. Then we get to the Cardinals at the Saints. Really ugly one here in the Superdome. I'm not racing to lay the 6 points with the Cardinals here. I do think that they will be improved this year. Another year of Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray healthy coming into this season. I think that Marvin Harrison could go off and that defense could improve. And then on the Saints side, it's really just going to be a tire fire as they announce that Spencer Rattler wins the starting job. We've seen him last season. He's just not a great NFL quarterback at this point. I think that he will struggle. But same thing with the Browns. It's a home spot in week 1. The team doesn't know that they're bad yet, so maybe they put up some fight, especially on defense. I think that this game will get really weird, and that could conduce to the Saints winning, but I'm not seeing it there, so give us the Cards. Then we get to the Steelers and Jets, another potential really sloppy game that I could see the Jets squeaking it out, maybe like a 16-13 type game, but I think the Steelers roster and defense is better, so we'll take them to win. Justin Fields, obviously, last year was with the Steelers, and Aaron Rodgers coming off of a bad season with the Jets, and I do not think that either of these quarterbacks will play well. I think that the Steelers, as I mentioned, slightly better team here, so I do think that they go into MetLife and get the W by about 3 points. Then we get to a divisional battle here. It's a trap game for the Commanders. Even though they're at home, this Giants team did keep it close last year, even though they were so bad in both of their meetings. So I will take this Giants team plus the 6.5 points. I think that the Commanders will regress this season. Year 2 of Jaden Daniels. I do think that he is the real deal, but they went 87% on their 4th down conversions last season. And the defense, just in some key spots, got some big stops, and I just do not think that their roster and personnel say that they're one of the top defenses in the league here. So I do think that Russell Wilson and this offense with Malik Neighbors, Tyrone Tracy, and Cam Scatterbo will be able to move the ball a little bit. But really my bull case on the Giants is this front 7 against this Commanders team. Cosme, their right guard, will be out likely for this game. So I think that that could present some trouble here. I think that this one will be a little low-scoring battle, and I think it'll come down to the fourth quarter. So love the value with the Giants plus 6.5 there. Then we get to a 2-team 6-point teaser here. You can get these at -120 on DraftKings, -125 at Caesars. So risk 1.25 units to win 1. I love these 2 legs here. Started out with the Titans and the Broncos. This is Cam Ward's first start here in Mile High against one of the best defenses in the league. They add Greenlaw and Hufanga. That front 7 is loaded. Titans' offensive line is not great. They don't have a lot of weapons, so it's going to take a Herculean effort for Cam Ward to even keep this Titans team in the game here. And then you have a lot of continuity in year 2 of Bo Nix and Sean Payton. So I really just like the Broncos to win this game. Spread is currently 7.5 or 8, so we can tease it down to 1.5 under a field goal there. Gives us a lot of leeway. I definitely think that the Denver Broncos win that game. Next game, we get to the Niners and the Seahawks here. I know that a lot of sharp people are on the Niners to win this game. Spread is now up to 2.5. It's a tough environment to start out the season. A lot of unknowns on both sides. You guys know I love the upside play on the Niners to potentially get the 1 seed in the NFC and win the Super Bowl just because the schedule is so easy if they can stay healthy. But they're dealing with a lot of injuries right now. I don't know how Sam Darnold's going to look with this Seattle team. They bring in Cooper Kupp, and they've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, and apparently the offensive line and defense are supposed to be better. We'll see on that. And then the Niners, as I mentioned, the wide receivers, Ayuk's going to be out. Demarcus Robinson is suspended. We'll see on Jawan Jennings. So really just the only one you can count on is Ricky Pearsall, who only played a handful of games after getting shot last season. So hopefully Christian McCaffrey is able to look good in this game. I'll take the Niners to win, but I'm not willing to lay the -2.5 because of all the injuries there as well on their offensive line too, and Jake Moody unproven at the kicker position as well. Next, we get to the first of 2 NFC North battles this week. You guys know I have some controversial takes in this division, and chief among them, I've got the Packers winning this division, and I have the Lions losing a few more games than last year. So perfect spot here in Lambeau Field week 1. Basically a pick 'em, Packers -1. I'll lay that there. I think that Jordan Love is the better quarterback in this matchup. I think that the departure of Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson will hurt this Lions team big time. I think that this Packers defense, yes, I have seen some stats that they got lucky last season in some situational spots, but this Lions offensive line got way worse, so I do not think that they will be able to pound the rock against this Packers team like they did last year. So I think that the Packers will get some pressure, force Jared Goff into a couple mistakes there, and then ultimately Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs, that ground game was superb last year, and this Lions defense, I know it was injured at the end of last year, but think that they will regress as well. So I love the Packers to win that one there at home. Then we get to the Texans and the Rams, and just so much uncertainty here because I do not know what the situation is with Matthew Stafford. Hopefully he's able to play there, and the back is not much of an issue. I think that that could be a recurring theme throughout this entire season. You've got to love the addition of Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua going into year 3. The offensive line isn't great. You still have Kyron Williams out of the backfield, and McVay, another year of him and Stafford. That's always going to be great. Their defense had a lot of young players last season and looked pretty good, so hopefully that improves. Texans didn't really improve this offseason. They only really have Nico Collins and a couple other unproven guys on the outside. Joe Mixon seems to be injured, and the offensive line got worse. We'll see on that defense, supposed to be one of the best in the NFL, but really just going to lay off from a spread perspective until I see more on Stafford, but I will give the Rams this victory there. And then we take the second leg of our teaser. Love this one, perhaps even more. Ravens +7.5 against this Bills team. We know that these two teams played last season. In the regular season, week 3, the Ravens won that game, I think, by 28 points. But then they played in the playoffs. The Bills were up big at halftime. Ravens come storming back, and they score a touchdown, and then Mark Andrews drops a 2-point conversion to tie the game there. And that's really just a theme for this Ravens team, both in the regular season and the playoffs. When they win big. And when they lose, they tend to lose really close. Even though they went 12-5 last year, I think that all 5 of those losses were one-possession games. Maybe someone can correct me on that if it's not true. A lot of times they end up choking the game, or something heinous happens in the last few seconds as it did in that playoff game there. So I do like the Ravens to win this game. I think that they have a better roster. It's always tough going into Buffalo and fading Josh Allen here, which is why I like the cushion of the Ravens +7.5 there. I do think that if they get a lead, it's going to be really tough for this Buffalo team to hunker down and stop Derrick Henry on the ground. Also, I've been hearing that this Bills team has had a lot of injuries and uncertainty in their secondary, so perhaps Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews could go off. Potentially also DeAndre Hopkins if he's not washed as well against that bad Bills secondary. Expect a lot of points in this game, and I do think that the Ravens keep it close and end up winning. Then we wrap it up with a pretty entertaining Monday night game. Second of the NFC North spots. I do see the Bears getting a lot better this season, and I think the Vikings get a lot worse with J.J. McCarthy. So I love this one as well. Bears +2. I cannot understand this line. This should be at least a pick 'em or the Bears favored. Tough environment, Soldier Field. This is J.J. McCarthy's first NFL start, and this is going to be a lot different from the preseason. I think that this Bears defense got a lot better, and Ben Johnson just going to run a professional organization, and I just think it's going to be tough for J.J. McCarthy. I think that the Bears are going to stop that running game with Aaron Jones, and Jordan Addison suspended in this one. We know that they have Justin Jefferson, but maybe they can double him and then just make J.J. McCarthy make some plays. I think that he's going to get flustered. I think he's throwing at least a couple interceptions. Could say the same thing about Caleb Williams going against Brian Flores. So I think with Ben Johnson at the helm here, he will be able to call a great game plan against this Minnesota team. As he has done these last few seasons, he has really owned the Vikings when he was with the Lions. We'll see if they're able to translate here, but I do think that Caleb Williams settles in well, makes a few good reads there with all of his great weapons, and the Bears are able to win this game. Just really cannot understand how they are the underdogs. That's big disrespect for them at home. So with all that being said, let me know what you guys think of my betting locks and game predictions here for week 1 in the comments down below. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.